Sluts selling butts, them buttholes done been sold. Dogs breeding like bugs, or rabbits or coat hangers. Killers killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 Where'd all the money go? Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street? While killers be killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 Oh. Where'd all the money go? Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street? While killers be killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 News.
Gee whiz. I've noticed Pat has been a little surly ever since he quit smoking. I hope he takes my advice and sings a show tune to get in a better mood.
Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. The girl who's hard to get. Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. But you can win her yet. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, di, do, di, do.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if that works. Should. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. I hear the ST. Hopefully a little more than that. Okay, so I guess it switches back and forth. Why would it? Weird. Maybe I could just switch back and forth. I wonder if that's the case. The you have to turn it off, or I don't know. Can you hear me? Because on my end, I can hear it. Yeah, I'm hearing it on Rumble. Jeez, how can it work on other people's? Okay. All right, I'm hearing it. At first, I just heard the super tip, but I hear you now as well. Man, why didn't it show me that in the studio? It's just. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. There does appear to be this delay, though, but I guess it'll come out all right on screen. All right, that's all great and nice and dandy and all that. But we'll have to move on. So basically, what I'm going to do here is do updates from past Nailsin news stories, some recent, one very old. I'm not even sure if I did a Nailsin news on. If I even did a video, it might have just been the audio, but I remember the story. And it goes back quite a few years. So that'll be the first one. I'll do a couple more, and then we'll switch over to Nailsin ratings material. Now, superheroes, Star Trek, and Spaceballs. Yeah, Spaceballs. Oh, and I'll look at screenshots of the Superman trailer because I still don't know what the rules are on that as to whether or not you can sit there. I mean, people do it all the time, but other people get Warner Brothers slaps them with a copyright claim and stuff. I don't know. Anywho, I'm not going to play the trailer, but by now, I mean, everyone's seen it, right? I mean, come on. So that's the deal that I'll be doing for this session. And I guess that's it for EV Mux. I don't know what else to do. It works fine for Pat. I was just on his show Uncensored. Well, not just, that was a couple of hours ago now, but still, it was fine. I've been using it for months. And I don't know. I'm very upset. This thing where I've got it going through, OBS. Yeah. I can play the super tips through it. Although the way I got it now, I think I just shut off the sound. I guess I can try again.
I really hate Two Trip, but I got a lock as they croak.
It's coming through, isn't it?
Smoke. Fool. I'm the kind of G.
Well, screw it, then I guess this will work.
In the night saying prayers.
It does echo for me, but I don't know if it does that
living in a gangster's paradise.
going out. Yeah. So. Doesn't sound like it. All right. That's enough of that crap. Okay. Moving on to Nailsin News. Update. Yeah. It's one of these. It's a favorite. Let me make sure everything's right. And, yeah, it's just going to have my camera square in anyway. But that's fine. That's fine. So anyway, sicko teacher who had sex with boy 13 in classroom has a new job behind bars. She's a bartender? No, a disgraced teacher locked up for sexually abusing her 13-year-old student now has a new job behind bars as an aerobics instructor. Oh, wow. Brittany Zamora, 33, who has served nearly 6 of her 20-year sentence for the torrid, illicit relationship with a minor, is now instructing other inmates behind bars at the Arizona State Prison Complex, Perryville, according to inmate records. Yeah, there she is. Remember her? You say she was one of the hot ones, you know? It was like, wow. But 13, geez. She was placed in her new work assignment in April. They had to find her something to do, you know, I guess license plates, and I don't know. Do they let them do basket weaving and stuff like that? I don't know. The laundry department. And they said, you know what, Brittany? How about yoga? So just months after completing prison courses on Family Ties, the TV show, self-control, oh boy, does she need that, and social values. Yeah, so it took her 3 years to pass those courses. The facility where she is being held for adults only. Well, let's hope so, because consider what she's guilty of. So there's no chance of Zamora coming into contact with children while teaching classes. Well, I guess so. She's in prison. How many children do they lock up in prison? It isn't the first time Zamora has worked as a tutor behind bars. In November 2021, she was reported to be assisting education staff in group settings. Wow. The Department of Corrections said in a statement to Law and Crime, which first reported her in her role. Zamora told police when they were arresting her that she feared she wouldn't survive life behind bars because she was little. Oh, man. She's really broken up about it. Oh, geez. Oh, no. But she appeared to have adapted well to life behind bars and was pictured grinning broadly in her most recent mugshot from October 2024. Yeah, see? She's doing great. That's the thing about, prison. Some people, they do adapt to it, Wearing an orange prison jumpsuit. Yeah, when you ask, who are you wearing? State standard. And with a necklace visible underneath, she smiles at the camera. She does have a necklace. Yeah, she does. I didn't know they allowed that sort of thing. Anyway, her dyed blonde hair from her most famous 2018 mugshot returned to her natural brown color. All right, well, we got all her fashion details listed. Zamora was arrested in March 2018 after being accused of having sex with her student multiple times in a classroom at Los Bryces, Academy, an elementary school in Goodyear, Arizona, where she taught 6th grade. She performed oral sex on the teen and reportedly used another student, oh God, as a lookout while engaging in the 6 sexual encounters. Her twisted actions were uncovered after her victim's parents began monitoring his phone with an app. So there's the scene of the crime. The victim said he and then married 27-year-old Zamora had sex several times in her car and classroom. She pled guilty to sexual conduct with a minor and reduced charges of molestation of a child and public sexual indecency, and was sentenced to 2 decades in prison in July 2019. In May 2020, she filed for divorce from her husband of 4 years, Daniel Zamora, claiming the relationship was broken beyond repair. Oh, no. Oh, geez. I wonder what went wrong, Of course, it's tough, her being in prison and all. It's like long-distance relationships. Those are the hardest of all. So anyway, she's got a new gig. She's still teaching because that's her true passion. It's just some of the things she was wanting to teach, that boy was something she shouldn't have done. It wasn't in the curriculum. But anyway, now she's doing yoga. I wonder, do they get to wear leotards and stuff in prison while they do their yoga and all that? Yeah. Does she have to serve the full 20 years? I guess. I don't know. But you know what? she didn't think she'd survive, but they've all taken a liking to her because, doggone it, she's just so cute. And she has skills. She knows yoga. All right, that'll make for a Nailsin News video on it. I think so. Well, I'll look at the chat. A. Thompson says, hey, it skipped. Oh, boy, right when I'm reading. Hey, Doug. Hey, Thompson. Dominic. Doug us. A. Thompson. Doug could abandon comics and make reporting teacher sex crimes a full-time job. Probably. That's the sad truth of the whole thing, you know. Not my reporting it. No, it's since there's so many. It just keeps happening. Boy, Letourneau really was a pioneer, you know. Canadian Spider-Man. Hello, Canadian Spider-Man. So many female teacher predators now. They better get the same treatment men have had. I don't know. I don't know how many male teachers locked up for this crime are teaching yoga. You know, and I don't know how popular they are in prison. She seems to be, she adjusted well. You know, she was terrified of going in there, you know. And, you know, I understand. She said, I'm so little and all that sort of thing. But again, they just like, oh, look at you. You're so cute. And that's how that works, you know. So I know what you're saying, equal justice under the law and all that, but probably not. Because look at her. She's pretty. Evil, but pretty. Canadian Spider-Man says, hello there, Doug. Well, yeah. Hey, Canadian Spider-Man. Dominic, all women who teach yoga are insane. I've wondered this. I dated my yoga teacher. Well, all right. Look, you see, she was in the position of authority, so she took advantage of you. She was your teacher. Yeah, of course, I understand. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for Brittany. That's an old one. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I drew a cartoon of her or anything, and if I even did the video, because I've done, the Nailsin News started out as an audio thing for the audio podcast, and I don't think all of them became videos. So it goes back a ways. But I think one of the first stories was a teacher sex scandal, followed by another one, which was an ex-nun. She didn't make it. She was trying to be a nun, but she dropped out to become a porn star. So, you know, it's all good fun. It's not all murders and stuff. So, anywho, let's see. What's next on the docket? No, I don't want that just yet. Is this the one? God, what? It's weird how I got them all perfectly lined up in the tabs, and yet it's all jumbled in the, the shared doohickey. Again, that's one of the advantages. Evie Mux does a better job of that, and but it just won't let me speak. You know, I'm being denied. 15-year-old describing fucked up situation with stepmom who was allegedly sexually abusing him while dad was at work to be allowed at trial, judge rules. So this is a bit of an update on this one. Now, this was nowhere near as old as the previous story I did, but still, the saga continues, you know. Statements made by a Florida teenager who allegedly says he was preyed on sexually by his own stepmother are allowed to be presented at the disgraced Ocala nurse's trial. An order handed down by Fifth Judicial Circuit Judge Timothy T. McCourt. Wow, he actually has court in his name. Is there any better judge? I mean, I wonder if he comes from a long line of judges, you know. Says statements made by Alexis Yates's stepson to forensic interviewer Allie Munchie of the child protection entity Safe Shores can now be used as evidence at her sexual battery trial. including instances where the child did not shy away from making statements that would cast him in a negative light, i.e., using marijuana the night of the incident, and frequently in the months leading up to it. As part of an overall description of the act, McCourt said because the victim wanted to accurately describe what allegedly happened. Boy, he really wanted to get detailed and everything. But then again, he's the actual witness to the crime. I mean, more than anyone. I mean, sure, his dad walked in on them, but still, the teen could have minimized these things, which he would have had motive and opportunity to do, but did not, according to McCourt. See, they should do like a judge show, where he solves crimes on the side, called McCourt. The court finds that this bolsters the overall reliability of his statement and its contents. While he was not displaying emotions like sadness, the child nevertheless expressed a mix of emotions consistent with the complex situation in which he then found himself, a situation the child himself referred to as being fucked up. McCourt added. That's in the record. McCourt was asked to determine whether the victim's statements were reliable and trustworthy. Well, he was there, enough for his recorded interview with Munchie and her testimony at a May 29th hearing. Yates, 35, has pled not guilty to sexual battery on a person 12 to 18 years of age by someone in familial custody. The defendant's employer, the Florida Department of Health, issued an emergency suspension order last month after her arrest was first reported. She had been operating under a single state license as a registered nurse since 2016, per the DOH. Yates was arrested last year after she was caught sexually assaulting her husband's biological son in July 2024. An anonymous tip led to Yates being investigated and arrested. The victim allegedly told police he was on vacation and visiting his father for the summer when the sexual assault occurred. His father worked late hours as a lineman. The child victim was hanging out with his stepmother while she was taking care of his younger siblings. Around 11 p.m., the two of them began relaxing on the couch, hitting a THC cartridge together while playing a video game. Several hours later, they decided to watch a movie. According to the affidavit, the teen and Yates both thought the movie was boring, so they began to talk about other things before Yates made sexual advances toward the boy. They allegedly engaged in sexual acts, including intercourse. The teen told police that Yates had been making sexual jokes for approximately a week leading up to the incident. Huh. What a coincidence. McCourt wrote in his order that the boy spends the majority of the year with his mother, his real mother, in Washington, D.C., and visits his father in Florida twice a year. Oh, boy. While any situation where parents share custody of a child lends itself the possibility of improper influence, there was no evidence that there was any domestic dispute ongoing at the time of this incident. Noting how the boy also appeared to be a particularly intelligent and mature young man at the time his statements were taken. The teen appeared to be somewhat worldly and familiar with adult things, like the THC vape before having sex with defendant and smoking weed pretty much every day. Yeah, he knows all that stuff. When considered together with the totality of circumstances attendant to this case, consideration of this factor weighs moderately in favor of the reliability of the child's statements. I suppose the stepmother could counter. Come on, he was stoned. But where'd he get it from? Oh, yeah, you. Yeah. Well. Oh, well. So it's one of those situations where pot and video games is, the foreplay. I don't know, but the whole thing, as I recall the story, yes, his his dad walked in on this. He came home earlier than usual. A lineman. He was out there working for an electric company, I guess, and comes home. I guess he was a little quicker on the job than they expected, and she was like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah," you know, and what a mess. So, you know, how long before they divorce, you know? And then it's like, well, he can divorce that bitch, but his son, you know, it's his son. Anywho, again, he was quite the eyewitness, so they'll include his statements on the matter at trial. All right, there we go. Nurse Nasty. You know, you should have known better. You were the adult in that room. I don't care how precocious the kid was, you know. Nodak says they left out the biggest question. What movie were they watching that they found boring? Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it wasn't a sexy movie because I was thinking, oh boy, what were they watching? You know, it was all, you know, tits and ass or something in it. Was it an outright porno? You know, no, it wasn't. Whatever it was really boring. So I don't know, some snooze fest. And one of the Marvel movies, something like that. And they said, all right, that's it. We're just going to have to screw now. It's the movie's fault. They should probably sue the studio for boring them into this terrible, terrible interaction that never should have occurred because, well, you know, it's wrong. On to another update. Shoeless grandma who left infant in roadside ditch on rainy day ran away, then told cops she was looking for a child after day drinking learns her fate. So let's find out what happened to her. I do read this one isn't that much old. I do remember doing this story before, and I did a cartoon of her. Yeah. But I mean, you can see the crazy in her picture. Yeah. A 53-year-old grandmother in the North Star State will not have to spend any more time behind bars despite admitting to getting drunk and abandoning her infant grandchild in a roadside ditch on a Minnesota day that was cold, rainy, and windy. Otter Tail. Yes, that's right. Otter Tail County District Judge Michael D. Fritz ordered Anastasia E. Vaughn to serve 45 days in jail, but suspended the sentence for 2 years, instead allowing Vaughn to make up that time by completing 492 hours of community service within 1 year. The sentence came after Vaughn reached a deal with prosecutors and agreed to plead guilty to one count of endangering a child in a situation that could cause death or harm, a gross misdemeanor. She was also ordered to pay $585 in fines and court costs and will serve an additional 2 years of probation after completing her community service. Vaughn had been facing a maximum of 364 days in jail and a fine of up to $3,000. Okay. Well, the story was authorities said a driver at about 4:30 p.m. called the Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office and requested a welfare check on an infant child. A man was reportedly driving on Cedar Park Loop near Swan Lake when he came across a woman, later identified as Vaughn, who was walking in a wooded area near the road carrying a baby. Despite the fact that it was raining, windy, and only about 50 degrees outside, the driver said that the woman was not wearing any shoes. When the man pulled over to speak to the woman, she told him that she and the child were fine, and then kept walking. A short while later, the man pulled over and said that he spotted the woman running away from a roadside ditch and did not appear to be carrying the baby. The driver went to investigate and reportedly found the baby on the ground in the ditch. He reportedly picked up the infant and called 911. Upon arriving, sheriff's deputies said that they located Vaughn walking through the woods near the ditch where the baby had been left alone. Deputies noted that Vaughn appeared to stumble when she walked, reeked of alcohol, and was slurring her words when she spoke. Her eyes were also reportedly bloodshot and watery. Authorities quickly identified Vaughn as the baby's grandmother, though she reportedly appeared unsure. Deputies wrote that Vaughn seemed confused and said she was looking for a child, but was unable to answer specific questions. She said she did not remember what happened, and when asked how much she had to drink, she would not say. Vaughn's husband, the child's grandfather, well, of course, arrived at the scene and told authorities he and his wife lived nearby, and also confirmed that Vaughn had been drinking alcohol that day. Vaughn took a breath test, which showed her blood alcohol content was 0.229, nearly triple the legal limit to drive in Minnesota. But how much the baby said, you know? So, yeah. So she gets probation. Huh. I mean, it seems a little odd. You get the details that the guy just happened to be there to see this, and he watches her toss. I mean, he didn't see him toss the baby, but she puts the baby in the ditch and then runs away. I mean, even though she's intoxicated, there's a little more there than alcohol, you know? And even after all this, we see the sentence she gets, which is extraordinarily lenient. And yet I didn't see any mention of an order for her to stay away from the child. You need to put that in there too. Because I think you made a mistake here. But anyway, I guess she'll pick up trash in probably that same ditch. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Yeah. And they'll say that's good. She's great for society, I suppose. I don't know. Okay, no more questions or anything. All right. So that's it for Shoeless Grandma. No, that's not her nickname. Although I suppose it could be. But hey, she didn't cheat or throw a game for, gambling money, whatever. Anyway, you get the idea. All right. We're going to shower. And then here's, this one. But first, a sippy. Tonight's show brought to you by RC Zero Sugar. It's a soda. I find it very tasty. I do. Yeah. Okay. Remember her? You might. This is not that long ago. Did a cartoon of her. I mean, look at that face. Jeez Louise. Yeah. All right. Mom, who used .38 revolver to gun down fathers, yes, of her children in 2 different states, killing one, learns her fate. A mom from Missouri who tried gunning down the fathers of her children, one of whom she killed in a multi-state shooting spree earlier this year, will spend the rest of her life in prison. Yeah, that's the whole story right there. But no, I'll continue. Taylor Santiago, 31, of Aurora, pled guilty in April to charges of first-degree murder, robbery, unlawful use of a weapon. It is unlawful to use a weapon in murder. It is. And endangering the welfare of a child in connection to the January 23rd attacks and slayings, which were investigated and reported by the Aurora Marionville Police Department in Missouri and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas. They all got together on this one. Santiago confessed to shooting the fathers of her children and a woman who was dating one of them who also died. Oh, boy, I forgot about that part. Yeah. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Taylor Santiago arrived at the Aurora Police and Fire Facility and called from the parking lot, reporting that she had just murdered her estranged husband, Troy Huffman, at her residence. Police officials allege. Officers immediately took Miss Santiago into custody and responded to her apartment, where they located a deceased male identified as Troy Huffman. While in custody, Santiago confessed to driving to Arkansas earlier in the day to shoot the other biological father of her children and a woman who he was dating the man, per Wichita, Kansas NBC affiliate Kassin. She turned herself in after arriving back in Missouri following the double shooting. Santiago told an AMPD detective during her police interview that she invited Huffman over to her apartment to see their son before he was killed. Santiago said that when he arrived, she told the child she was going to take care of the bad guys and had the youngster cover their ears. God. Santiago pulled out a .38 revolver and hid it behind her back before walking into a room where Huffman was and killed him. Aurora Police Chief Wes Coatney told Springville, Missouri, NBC affiliate KTV, he believed the overall motive for the shooting spree was related to custody issues between Santiago and the two male victims. Coatney said it was unclear why Santiago drove back to Aurora to turn herself in. I don't know the answer to that, he told KTV. I'm glad she did turn herself in. I mean, not the shooting. I just want to make that clear. I'm glad she turned herself in. I wish she would have come to us before she did all of this. So, we could have helped her. Or better yet, you could have helped the two men and the woman, Santiago was living in an apartment building in Aurora at the time of the shootings, according to police officials. Her neighbor's daughter was at home at the time of the Huffman attack and described what she heard to her mother. This is really sad to happen right next door. Anywhere else, well, she did hear some banging on the bathroom walls, said the neighbor. Santiago's endangerment charge stemmed from her daughter being present during the shooting in Arkansas. Well, yes. The incident left the father of Santiago's daughter critically injured, while the child was unharmed. Well, physically, At first, she was very nice, the neighbor, Carla Rogers, said about Santiago, who allegedly threatened the neighbor last year. I don't know if something happened. I believe she had gotten into drugs. Yeah, maybe. But either way, she cray-cray. Oh, boy, is she cray-cray. Oh, yes. I mean, she cray, then she look. And that's pretty cray. That's it for Santiago. And that brings to a close our Nailsin News update. So we're all caught up, I know. Many probably wondered, oh man, what happened to those crazy bitches? Well, now you know. Now you know. One's teaching yoga. I suppose that they should all get into that, Yeah, some of these were in Arizona as well. I wonder if one of these girls, ladies, will end up in the same prison as Brittany Zamora, and perhaps she can guide them to the enlightenment of yoga to control their deranged souls. Yeah, probably not. Nodak asks, fathers? Yes. She got around, round. She got around. Nodak, what did those two men do to that poor woman? LOL. They left her. Gee, I wonder what ruined their relationship. I mean, you saw the mugshot, right? I mean, come on. So, what are you going to do? Nothing. We're going to move on to, Nailsin rating stuff. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's not going to do. I got to fix that. Oh, boy. You got to do it all yourself. Everybody quit because I wasn't paying them. So now I got to do all the background work and art and stuff. I'm all by myself. Evie Mux won't work. Rumble Studio kind of does. I don't know. Oh, maybe I should check and see. No, that's old. I thought it was a new super tip, but it's not. Okay. All right. On to Nailsin ratings. It's It's all nerd shit. Sci-fi. Last week I had some horror movies, I need to get back into that. Plus, I need to do a series of reviews on Black Mirror and all that. So much stuff. Anyway, here's superhero crap. Make sure it all lines up. Yes, it does. How about that? DC Mr. Miracle animated series in the works from Tom King. So that pretty much kills the whole thing from the get-go. Because the first series, I thought it was brilliant. It teased me. It had great art. It didn't look anything like this in the comic book series, Mr. Miracle that he did. But it's basically as if Bad Robot did a comic book. Tease, repetitive crap, and then it just farts in your face at the end. Anyway, it's learned that DC Comics writer Tom King is developing a Mr. Miracle animated series. King is also writing and producing the live-action Lantern series, which probably just kills the Lantern series because he's also writing it with Damon Lindelof. See, it was meant to be. He really missed his calling not being a part of Bad Robot, and is a consultant on the James Gunn DCU. Huge red flag for that, and it's a damn shame. The details first were announced at the Annecy, I guess. I don't know. Animation Film Festival. King serves as showrunner, well, of course, and executive producer on Mr. Miracle, which is currently in production. So, yeah, again, but this kind of thing where it's like, oh, something's off with the camera or something. There was some kind of visuals like that in the Mr. Miracle story. Is all is not what it seems, and that sort of thing. So I guess if they could have captured the actual artwork, because Tom King's been blessed. He's had top-notch artists work on his comics. It's all cool to look at, but it's utter garbage. They're for the Supergirl movie, they're adapting his Supergirl story, which is probably the best thing he's done, because all it is a ripoff of True Grit. Top to bottom, it's just, instead of John Wayne, it's Supergirl. And it's in outer space, but it's basically the same story. So I guess he just didn't find time to screw that up too bad. But, oh, geez. He's a terrible writer. Just terrible. But he does fool you at first if you're unfamiliar, because he's able to put up all these little trappings and decorations here and there that, oh, man, this looks cool. I wonder what it means. Nothing. Mr. Miracle will follow the story of Scott Free, also known as Mr. Miracle. It is based on the acclaimed Eisner Award-winning 12-issue comic series written by King with art by Mitch Gerard. Yeah, okay, so it's based on that trash. So might as well just dead on arrival as far as I'm concerned. But it won an Eisner Award. Yeah, that means nothing now. It means nothing. According to Warner Brothers, Scott is a global celebrity and the greatest escape artist alive. Yeah, that's true. That's what he does. No prison can hold him. No trap can contain him. He is scot-free because he has a magic computer called a mother box that gets him out of everything. The worldwide celebrity sensation known as Mr. Miracle. And he is the greatest escape artist who ever lived. Because, again, he has an alien computer who can open, a boom tube, which is like his own little wormhole to get him in and out of places. So, come on. But can he pull off the ultimate trick and escape death itself? Spoiler, no. The series opens with Scott's seemingly perfect life on Earth with his wife, Big Barda, falling apart after something goes terribly wrong. Yeah. The whole series goes terribly wrong. Yeah, the reason they call her Big Barda is because she's big and he's really short. I don't know if he's like an average height for a guy, but I think she's supposed to be even taller than Superman. Something like that. I forget. Anyway, it's a damn shame. What a waste of time, money, and skill on people putting this together. But maybe someone came in and touched it up so it'll be a little different from the comic book series. It might actually be good. He's the showrunner. He's in charge. My only hope here is that they tossed him this. Okay, Tom, here's your little project. You get it all to yourself, and you can do what you want. And they just got to placate him because his mommy was a big deal at Warner Brothers, and there's a lot of sway to be held there. Plus, he was in the CIA, so you don't want to mess too much with him. And the hope is that James Gunn and the like aren't really listening to him on Superman. And for the Lantern show, what's his name? Chris Mundy is the showrunner of the series. Sadly, Lindelof and Tom King are writers on it, but maybe, just maybe, Mundy can orchestrate and navigate that into a fairly decent show, and that he's more in charge than either of them. And that this is the bone they toss to Tom. Look, you got your cartoon series. It's all yours. You'll be in charge. And shuffle him off there. That's my hope. But it's probably not the case. Yeah. I don't know if this counts as part of the DCU. Because, James Gunn announced that he was going to integrate everything. So cartoons, live action shows would all connect to the movies. Even the video games would. So it's like Creature Commandos. That connects to the movie. So technically they were all already going to do it anyway, but he's fixed it to where it fits in with the DCU and all that. And then, of course, Peacemaker will fit in with it. And then Lanterns, of course, is a DCU project. So there you go. But boy, this is a terrible start if this is considered the DCU, Mr. Miracle, under the auspices of Tom King. It's a really terrible start to introduce Jack Kirby's New Gods characters. But hopefully it's just like a side project just for Tom King and leave it at that, but probably not. And that's sad. It's sad. Not just because I say it's sad, but because it's a fundamental truth. All right, that's it for Mr. Miracle. Nodak asks, I miss the days of there being at least 6 months in between new superhero projects. A little anticipation. Yeah, that's kind of the deal with the movies. Chasing these shows as well. It's saturation. Now, I don't expect them to do TV shows that maybe Superman shows up in a cameo for a brief moment or something like that, but to have movie characters interact directly. Now they're doing that with Peacemaker, the Guy Gardner Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl will be in that. Now looks like a scene that's probably just a throwaway for laughs and that sort of thing. But still, yeah, it is this sort of, and then it's like, the Marvel movies don't make sense. Well, you needed to do the homework on D+, and it's not going to work that way. They have to be kind of separate. Technically speaking, they can be feasible in it, but I think I don't know if it was, I can't remember who, but it's been tossed around and it's true, is that the movies can affect the TV shows, but the TV shows must not affect the movies. And if you leave it like that, it's kind of like the approach they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. initially, where you would have Iron Man briefly show up flying around out there. But it was just the Iron Man suit, and they had him flying around and say, hey, yeah, thanks, Tony. And that was it. But elements and plots and whatnot would not pour over into the Marvel movies. But things that happened in the Marvel movies would be mentioned, the New York invasion and stuff like that. And that would kind of work to a point. I mean, even in the Netflix Daredevil in those early days made mention of the New York attack. So that sort of thing, you can still kind of weave it, and the shows have to stand on their own. I mean, it's just that little connectivity to it. And he's like, hey, you're fine. That being said, having a character like Daredevil then show up in Spider-Man is also fine. Especially how they did it when he was Matt Murdock and he showed up and, you know, he's going to be Peter's lawyer and that sort of thing. You know, Marvel fans would know who he was and that sort of, even though you could see, hey, he's blind, but he was able to catch that thing, that sort of thing. But for the most part, yeah, the rules should be that, you know, oh, you had to watch all seasons of a certain show to understand who these characters are in the movie, or you'll be completely lost. That will never work, no matter how big the audience is for the shows. I mean, it would have to be massive. You're talking football numbers. You're not going to get that. So that's the rule you should follow. So it's still, you know, there'll be some stumbles, but they have to be aware of it. And it's the approach. Now, if you'll excuse me a minute, I've got to refill my tumbler of tonight's sponsor. RC Cola, zero sugar. Jeez, why did it cast that shadow on it? It's perfectly clean. I don't know. Anyway, there we go. I'm kidding. I don't have any sponsorships. But hey, I'll sing your praises if you know, toss me a little appreciation here. Oh, well, that's superheroes. Yeah, there's stuff, some Marvel stuff. Apparently they're going to pursue a Hercules film or series or something. I don't know. You know, they briefly showed him at the end of Love and Thunder. Easily the worst Thor movie ever. Not because Hercules was in it, but, you know. So, yeah, maybe. And apparently they're going to do yet another Thor movie, so probably one more. And then maybe they'll utilize Hercules as their new, you know, god, now that Thor's gone or whatever. I don't know. I just can't get interested enough in it. But maybe something else, details will come about, and I'll talk about it then. I don't know. But meanwhile, here's a long-awaited, I know, a sequel. I know. But you might make an exception for this one. Yes, Spaceballs, at long last. Spaceballs 2 brings back Brooks, Moranis, and Pullman. Moranis, that's amazing, because I thought Moranis was done with movies, you know. The Swartz is back. After nearly 4 decades, Spaceballs is officially getting a sequel. Amazon MGM Studios confirmed that Mel Brooks will reprise his role as Yogurt in the upcoming film Spaceballs 2, which is set to hit theaters in 2027. Wow, that's really soon. So Brooks isn't the only original cast member returning. Bill Pullman is back as the heroic Lone Star. And Rick Moranis will dust off the iconic helmet to once again play the villainous Dark Helmet, his first major movie role in years. Moranis famously stepped away from acting in the late 90s to focus on raising his children, making his return a major draw for longtime fans. Daphne Zuniga is also said to be returning as Princess Vespa. And you know, Daphne, she has aged very well. Still pretty. Yeah. So there you go. Obviously, Joan Rivers will not be voicing the robot, and sadly, John Candy will not be returning. Joining the original stars is Kiki, I don't know, Palmer, who will play a role by the name of Destiny. That streamer? Palmer is riding high off the success of One of Them Days and has a busy slate ahead, including Amazon's The Pickup and Lionsgate's Good Fortune. Well, it's not ringing a bell with me, but, It's also reported Bill Pullman's son, Lewis Pullman, who recently starred in Marvel's Thunderbolts. Oh, was that him as Sentry? Holy crap. That's who he looks like. Anyway, that's funny because Kurt Russell's son was, the U.S. agent and all that. Anyway, who recently starred in Marvel's Thunderbirds is in talks and will play a character named Starburst, the son of Queen Vespa and Lone Star. Bill Pullman. Yeah, good casting. Yeah, he's like Mel Brooks. Good Lord, he's ancient. What, it doesn't matter. Look, the makeup and everything. The sequel is being helmed by director Josh Greenbaum and written by Benji Sammet, Dan Hernandez, and Josh Gad. Gad will also star in the film. Well, okay. And is producing alongside Brian Grazer, Jeb Brody, Mel Brooks, and Greenbaum. It's reported Gad, Keke Palmer, and Lewis Pullman are the new leads. So you think they'll do a better handoff? That would be what's hilarious, is that Spaceballs 2 will do a better handoff than the Disney sequel trilogy for Star Wars did. That's the deal. So Gad celebrated the announcement. Okay, well, I was that child who saw Spaceballs before I ever saw Star Wars, and then wondered why anyone would do a dramatic remake of the Mel Brooks classic. It is, therefore, the greatest gift of my life to now help take the reins and work alongside Mel and this incredible group to do a sequel to the movie that first inspired George Lucas. Yeah. Well, the plot's still under wraps, so we don't know. While story details are being kept secret, the film has been cheekily described as a non-prequel, non-reboot sequel part 2, but with reboot elements franchise expansion film. A teaser shared by Brooks also pokes fun at the modern state of Hollywood, taking digs into the MCU and DCU. Fans of the original still will remember it as this relentless parody of Star Wars, Star Trek, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Alien, and more. Released in 1987, Spaceballs wasn't a box office smash, grossing just over $38 million. But it quickly became a cult favorite thanks to its sharp satire and quotable script. So, long-awaited follow-up. The sequel has been a long time coming. Moranis once pitched Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2, back in 2013. Yeah, see? You could take a dig at the jumbling of the chapters that Star Wars did. And in 2015, Brooks teased his desire to do a follow-up titled Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, which was the original title they threw in at the end there, Now, with Brooks nearing 99 years old, this movie is shaping up to be a nostalgic final hurrah and a potential relaunch of the Spaceballs universe. Yeah, I guess. But probably done right, Spaceballs 2 will be the best one. What they do next after that, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a one and done thing, It's just now it can make even more hay out of just the absolute self-destruction that the very franchise they're parodying in here have done to themselves. So, but do they have the balls? And that remains the question, doesn't it? Do they? Do they have the balls to really do Spaceballs? There, I'll clip it there. Yeah, I did a good job on that one. Oh, yeah, there's no denying it. Nodak says, so Josh Gad will be Barf's son Puke, and my guess. Yeah, that's a good guess. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, Barf had a litter, or, well, his what do you call him? His bitch did. Yeah, Barf's bitch. I don't know. Do they just call him Puke? Yeah, son Puke. Yeah. Puke's guy. Barfer. I don't know. Anyway, on to speaking of self-destructive franchises and whatnot. Poor old Star Trek. Yeah. Star Trek Strange New World? You mean Worlds? Ends with season 5. Yeah, that seems to be the deal with the Secret Hideout Trek, is they all get 5 seasons, no matter what, apparently. I mean, I don't know. And that's that. I guess because they thought, hey, the 5-year mission. Anyway, PP has officially confirmed that Star Trek Strange New Worlds will end with season 5. The final season will consist of 6 episodes. So I guess I didn't hear. I mean, I'm sure. So if they're only doing 6 episodes, I guess season 4 has already been shot and is set to begin production later this year. So yeah, I guess so. I guess season 3 is actually like season 4 is like actually season 3, but they cut season 3 in half. So it counts. See, the announcement comes ahead of the season 3 premiere, which drops like, July 17 with a 2-episode debut on PP in the U.S. Rumors also offer that once the merger with Skydance goes through, the Star Trek deal with Alex Kurtzman won't get renewed. Yeah, don't do that. Don't sign a contract with that studio for anything. Yeah. Hey, look, they're exploring a strange new world, not to be seen in the series. They never go to a strange new world. This will be the 3rd season. Will they go, or is it just going to be him cooking, moosing his hair, and then the soap opera between the rest of them, having sex with each other and stuff? Anyway, at the premiere, new episodes of Strange New Worlds will be released weekly on Thursdays. The finale airs September 11th. Meanwhile, season 4 is already in production and will stream sometime after season 3 wraps. Boy, let's hurry up and get this over with. I mean, how fast are they going to have to do 5 seasons for Starfleet Academy? So what do? They cut that down to 4 episodes, shoot it all, and then chop them up and call it 5 seasons. Let's see. So 20 episodes, and you could cut that up. Strange New Worlds has received strong reviews from fans and critics, including Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh status for its first 2 seasons. The show was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award in 2023 and won a Saturn Award in 2022. Well, that's for science fiction, and what else is there? So that's not saying much. It's just like the Eisner Award for Tom King, And executive producers Akiva Goldsman, Henry Alonzo Myers, and Alex Kurtzman, because you have to put his name on it, issued a joint statement thanking fans and PP for letting them complete our 5-season mission and promising that this future is far from over, with 3 full seasons still left to air. Oh, I thought they were going to do. From the very beginning, Strange New World set out to honor what Star Trek has always stood for. Yeah, when are you going to do that part? Boundless curiosity, some kind of curiosity, hope, and the belief that a better future is possible. We're deeply grateful to PP for the chance to complete our 5-season mission. You already said that. Just as we envisioned it. Oh, God. Along our extraordinary cast and crew. And to the passionate fans who've boldly, joined us on this journey. Thank you. With 3 more spectacular seasons ahead for you to see and enjoy, this adventure is far from over. But for the most part, it's over. So the same old band is back together for another round on PP. So, oh boy, look at the lineup. It continues to grow, doesn't it? So you had Section 31. Oh, remember that? Yeah. Starfleet Academy. That's the thing. It's like, does it get 5 seasons? Or how are they going to? Lower Decks. Yeah, it's already done. STD is done. Still burns, though. And good God, Picard. And no, the 3rd season does not fix it. All are available. Yeah, that's right. You can watch them on PP right now. Oh, boy. Wouldn't that be fun? No, it wouldn't. I guess they no longer consider Prodigy a part of this because they farmed that out to Netflix, where it probably actually makes them some money. Yeah. But anyway, poor Star Trek. Yeah. But I guess the good news here is it's coming to an end. All right, that's it for Star Trek. Yeah. Then there's, the sad, horrible story of Doctor Who. Yes, a little bit more of that, despite how many ways can the Doctor destroy himself? Of course, in the story, the Doctor can regenerate, but I don't think that'll be happening this time, for the show. Yeah. A. Thompson, Spaceballs 2 trailer pretty much sums up the last 40 years of movies. There's already a trailer? Saint Ranger, thank you, Doug. Howdy. You mean thanks for doing a show? Well, you're welcome. Besides, and thanks for showing up. It's cool. I think I got a new. Okay, here we go. A brand new one. Super tip. Let's see if this will work.
And I wonder when we are ever going to change, living under the fear till nothing else remains. We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond Thunderdome. Thanks for the show, Douglas. This super tip is sponsored by RC Zero Sugar.
Yes, it was indeed. Thank you. Yes, RC Zero Sugar. Latest sponsor for all Nailsin ratings and news and all that sort of stuff. It's great. I think it's fantastic. Of course, I cannot perform the famous Tina Turner song from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Who controls Bartertown? Master Blaster controls Bartertown. What's this about? Oh, it's Rumble telling me, hey, check out this cool new thing. Well, maybe later. I'm a little busy at the moment. A. Thompson says, Doug should hang out in the school parking lot. Sounds like a good place to meet teachers, single teachers. Well, yes, but I'm too old. Anyhow, again, thanks for the super tip. And it's nice. It's nice, isn't it? Thanks, Melton. No, I mean it. Really, really grateful for Patrick Melton getting me on super tips. And sorry I took so long to get it to work. It's still embarrassing. Oh, jeez. All right, poor Doctor Who. Of course, at the end, they got Shooty to regenerate, and then was probably just going to fade to black, I guess. And then that's that. Or maybe they weren't. I don't know. They weren't completely sure because now there's rumblings that there was a different ending with Susan Foreman was going to show up and they would interact and all that. But they had to hurry up and cut all that and reshoot it to have the Doctor regenerate. And then apparently like a month before the premiere of the episode, they got Billie Piper to come in and they just superimposed her head on Shooty's shoulders and said, oh, she's the new Doctor. So anyway, it's a few days old, but nevertheless, Billie Piper's Doctor Who return, is reportedly paving the way for another Tennant comeback. Please, Tennant, please. I mean, he got, better numbers than Shooty did, for the specials. But then people saw it and were like, oh my God. Plus, I guarantee you that little special segment they did about Davros and preaching about people in wheelchairs being depicted as villains, which just came out of Russell T Davies' ass, that pretty much told you all you needed to know about his new take on Doctor Who. And then, of course, the specials confirmed it, and it's been downhill ever since. So David Tennant alone, that's not going to cut it. But reuniting him with Billie Piper and adding to all the theories about what does it mean for the Doctor to turn into his ex-girlfriend after having been a woman himself and 2 gay men, because Tennant's new Doctor was gay as well, you understand. And then he became a black gay man. And then he turns into his ex-girlfriend. Yeah. So could David Tennant be coming back to Doctor Who again? A new rumor suggests the fan favorite Time Lord will reunite with Billie Piper for one last trip in the TARDIS. According to The Sun, a tabloid, Tennant would appear in a special one-off episode, because it's probably all they can afford to do, to mark the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who's revival. Piper's surprise appearance at the end of Series 15 is reportedly teeing up the return. Here's what the Sun's insider had to say. There is talk about a possible one-off project to celebrate the 20th anniversary. David and Billie were a hugely popular partnership, and he brought in a golden age of Doctor Who. With the anniversary of the reboot this year, there have been some ideas floated about, quite a few floaters, with the thought of maybe bringing David and Billie back together for one last hurrah. The report continues, stating that the 14th Doctor, who was last seen enjoying a quiet life in Donna Noble's garden, could be the incarnation that teams up with Billie Piper in her as yet unconfirmed role. It could be a way to wrap up the Doctor's bi-generation arc. Yeah. Finally set the stage for the next true Doctor. Well, they probably won't get to that. Here, the regeneration, whatever, like the two of them merge into one, because they love each other so much, and form a new Doctor. You probably won't see it because they can't really continue the series. So who's going to take that scene? Nobody. It would probably just, they start glowing into one person. Maybe it pans down and you don't see the face of who it is. Something, I don't know. There's no official word from the BBC, but if true, this would mark Tennant's third major return to the show since his original run ended in 2010. In the meantime, fans eager to see Tennant and Piper back together right now can catch them in the special hour-long edition of Doctor Who Unleashed, which is available on BBC iPlayer. The episode celebrates 20 years since the 2005 revival and features appearances from a host of Doctor Who stars, past and present. It will also air later today on BBC One. Well, yeah, whatever. All right. So it is a move that has credibility to it that they would attempt this if they could, if there's funding. And they probably could cobble enough something together for a special. But the thing of it is, it's ultimately another regeneration story. And then you introduce your new Doctor. But how do you cast a doctor, an actor in this role when you can't even guarantee there's a series for them to sign up for? Yeah, that's a problem. The narratively speaking and all this business, because, initially when it happened, there was a lot of people, hey, maybe this means that. Maybe it means this. So you had Rose. She absorbed the time vortex into her. The Doctor had to suck it out of her, resulting in him regenerating into David Tennant's version of the Doctor and all that. So that was a powerful force in which Rose was able to alter time. She wiped out the Daleks, and she did it across time and space and stuff like that. So it was very powerful. Later on, now, that was Russell T Davies' run. Later on, when you get to the 50th special, with the Moment and the War Doctor unleashing that, and the Moment takes on the guise of Rose in that, with Billy Piper playing, of course. And but of course, the War Doctor had never met Rose, and so later on does meet her, and so it seems, I mean, and that's the thing of people and fandom thinking it through, whereas the show increasingly over its years rarely did. I mean, I think they knowingly tease some things, but this sort of thing, and it's just like, let's throw Billy in here in a last minute Hail Mary pass in the hopes that this will garner interest in a complete and colossal failure of a show of this ridiculous take on Doctor Who that they've done with just lectures all over the place and very little story. Basically a show that refused to respect even itself, let alone the lore and the audience and all that, or even their actors. Don't even really blame Ncuti Gatwa for this. I know people don't like him, but he didn't write this crap. So nevertheless, that's the situation they're in. So you throw Billy in there. So, the Doctor turned into his ex-girlfriend, a copy of her. He looks like her, something of that nature. But with both the Moment and the time vortex and whatnot, is there a little more to this, and that this isn't the Doctor per se, and it could be some element to, I guess, orchestrate and connect the entire era of New Who, should they want to have done that, and put something like that together, and off you go. And then have to come up with some sort of villain that gets in the way of this, and these two are back together, solving that, and ultimately they come together and form one Doctor again. And then, hey, this time we got the message. We'll just make Doctor Who adventures going forward. Not anytime soon, I wouldn't think. But theoretically, yeah, I suppose they could do something of that nature for this. It's all very stupid, really. But yeah, that was a weird choice on Davies' part, that he did this bi-generation just because he wanted the word bi-generation out there. Everybody's bisexual now. But nevertheless, the ability where the Doctor doesn't just regenerate and reform himself, he splits into two people. You would think the previous copy would then die from the injuries that caused it in the first place, but no, he gets repaired and everything. So David Tennant's new Doctor, the 14th Doctor, basically went into retirement and went to live with Donna in his cloned TARDIS. I guess he has the original TARDIS. Ncuti cloned it with magic and has his own. And they'll probably have to merge those two as well. And then so there he is all this time, and all these catastrophic things. What happened? The universe was killed at one point, and they had to bring it back and all that. This Doctor just sits on the couch watching TV, I guess. I don't know. Does nothing. But now, he'll be back because, Rose. But it's me. Oh. So then it goes to show that the Doctor only really ever loved himself. I don't know. But there you have it. What a weird set of circumstances. And I guess they'll address that. But it was a strange thing of doing it like that. And everyone said, they're going to do something. This is the emergency glass situation where Tennant comes back for a brief scene, regenerates into someone else, and then that becomes your ongoing Doctor or something like that. To me, it was a bit insulting of casting Ncuti there, so he can't, because like I said, he never really played the Doctor. He plays this clone of the Doctor. Unlike all the other actors, even Jodie, she didn't split off from Capaldi. Capaldi regenerated into her, and that's essentially all they should have done. I mean, I'm like, this is stupid, but they didn't, and they do this, and now he's gonna make out with himself as his other self looks like his ex-girlfriend, and they will merge. And oh boy, yeah, I don't know. But this is the mess that Davies made for no damn good reason. Because even after all that, in a way, he's insulting Shudigawa. Wouldn't let him be the actual doctor. You know? I just think it's all very stupid. So there you go. Can they cobble together a special? Perhaps. They still got to put out, because Disney already paid for the spinoff movie, the Land and Sea War thing. So they got that coming along. But beyond that, no. However, there are plans afoot for another Doctor Who series. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm not familiar of CBBS, but apparently the deal is to do an animated series. BBC reveals plans for animated Doctor Who CBBS spinoff in 2027. So there you go. So here's the press release. The BBC is set to expand the Whoniverse as it launches plans for a brand new preschool animation series, which will see the Doctor's adventures come to CBBS for the first time ever. The BBC is looking for a passionate production company to create and produce the series, because we can't, which will run independently from the main show that will see the Doctor traveling through time and space for the preschool audience, solving mysteries and problems alongside their companions and other friends. And of course, they may come up against one or two challenges on their way. Speaking about the plans, Patricia Hidalgo, Director of Children's and Education, said everyone is welcome at CBBS. I doubt everyone, including the Doctor. The much-loved franchise entertains millions around the world, not so much anymore. So it is only right that our younger audience get to experience the wonder and the magic of the Doctor in a brand new format. This is an extremely exciting opportunity, and we are looking forward to welcoming companies to pitch for this new project as we continue our commitment and investment in the UK's animation industry. After seeing what the Whoniverse has become, I'm a little disturbed for it to be shown to preschoolers, but it's separate from it, so I guess you can consider this an alternate universe of the Whoniverse of the which is what I've been thinking about, since Jodie and everything. But yeah, I suppose they could find some studio to do a crappy show. Yeah, so maybe that'll happen. But I think Doctor Who is done, and it did it to itself. It's all unfortunate, but there's really nothing anyone can do about it now. All right. That's it for that. Okay. A. Thompson, teacher have great benefits, cool schedule. They can retire. A. Thompson, you don't look that old. Yeah, but too old for, DJ Play Nice. Whee! All right. A. Thompson, did they report about the Indian plane crash? Yeah, there was a report. I didn't cover it, but one guy survived. Am I right on that one? That's amazing. A. Thompson, did you check out 3 Body Problem? Nope. Too busy. So there we go. That's it. Oh, the Superman thing. Yeah. All right. We'll do that. Keeping a good thing going, keeping it going right. I guess that's how I got to do it. This is how we do it. Make sure it's, yep. Oh, still got to have me here, huh? All right, whatever. So the apparently final Superman trailer, came out. And of course, I don't play trailers because I never know what the rules are, especially with Warner Brothers. But I'm going to take a risk here that screenshots are allowed. So these were on X, formerly known as Twitter. And so I captured a few and looked at them because, hey, we can all speculate and guess. What does it mean? So here we have Superman, and he's being fought with by this character. Now, I'm not sure if this is the guy in the armored suit with the big helmet, because that guy was seen in previous teasers and whatnot shooting what looks to be heat vision at Superman. And he's doing it again. So I don't know if like the helmet was busted off his head and there's parts of it there, or if he has a fro underneath or long hair, but maybe that's just the hair of the guy. And I'm wondering if it's the same Ultraman. It probably is, that he was in the suit of armor, but he's also, Ultraman. And here he is fighting Superman and appears to have the same powers as Superman. Is he Ultraman from Earth 3, the crime syndicate? Highly dubious of that. Speculation is that he is Bizarro, Superman's clone that Luthor created. Well, that could be possible. And he's just been kept hidden and stuff, and his hair grew long and all that. What if it's Henry Cavill playing the role? But anyway, and there were rumors that there's a fake Superman who frames Superman for things he didn't really do and that kind of thing. But anyway, it's another look at what appears to be that character. There's also another candidate for it, and I'll get to that as we go. Here's Gunn with the cast. So there's Ultraman there, and the engineer. And yeah, that's the suit. It's a bit disappointing. I thought they would CGI her into a metal woman like she is in the comics. It could be that this is an earlier version of her powers, and as she goes, she's more infused with the the nanobots and all that stuff. Because he said he wants to do an Authority movie, but we'll see. But nevertheless, maybe that's the deal. Because there is a scene real quick in one of the trailers where Crypto attacks her and her face rips open and it's all metal and stuff. So maybe the more she uses it, the more metal and stuff she becomes, something like that. But anyway, the cool thing is the practical sets. Outfits and stuff. A lot of times these are all of Luthor's guys. They're wearing his colors and everything, and they're all in these Iron Man suits. And of course, they fight with Superman. And yet it's not all CGI. They're actually in the suits, So that's one of the pluses for this movie. And seeing a lot of behind the scenes shots as they were shooting it, a lot of practical sets, So here we are in what appears to be some secret prison that Luthor runs. So here's more of his guys kicking Superman as they lock him up in the cell. And here's Metamorpho, who apparently turned his hand into kryptonite to weaken Superman, probably on their orders, so that they could catch him. And they caught him at a most inappropriate time. He's on the toilet, and that's embarrassing. But it's prison. There's really no privacy in there. So, yeah. So anyway, that this might be in a pocket dimension. More than likely it is. And a bunch of superpowered beings are being held there by Luthor. And now he's got Superman and Metamorpho. Metamorpho was one of the suspects to be Ultraman, but probably not. I'm thinking not at this point. He's just being held captive, and he probably teams up with Superman later. So here's Superman battling Luthor's guys all over the city and everything. It's reminiscent of the parademons from Snyderverse and all that, but no, it's those guys, Once again, he's being arrested. Ultraman, move along, punk. Engineer and all that. And then here's Ultraman's ass and Miss Tessmacher's ass Yeah, that's what we get in her snow bunny suit as they are going to break in to Superman's, pad, his crib, the Fortress of Solitude. And Luthor, of course, was smart enough to wear an overcoat so you don't see his ass. But that's Tessmacher's ass. Yeah. This is Maxwell Lord, played by James Gunn's brother, looking nothing like Maxwell Lord. But this is actually a scene from the Peacemaker trailer, I believe. Unless he does a similar scene in Superman, maybe. I don't know. Here's Mr. Terrific. And a lot of these different vehicles you see, I think, are his. It's his technology and stuff. So I think that's the deal. Not crazy about a lot of the costumes in this movie, except his, because that's pretty much Mr. Terrific's outfit. That's the whole thing. So they did good on that. So here, yeah, I think this is Mr. Terrific's vehicle that Lois is driving. And there's Perry. He's upset about this, but he still has his cigar. And Jimmy Olsen has a pin, a conspiracy map, and his laptop. I don't know who this is, but he's along for the ride. And off they go. Yeah, so there they are, flying around over Metropolis, I assume. And but again, I'm thinking that's a Mr. Terrific vehicle. Now there's this strange, mysterious character that some have suggested is a white Martian. I don't think so. I'm thinking he's Parasite, which makes him yet another very good candidate to possibly be Ultraman. And basically, Parasite can absorb the powers of other superpowered people, including their life force and all that stuff. So he can absorb Superman's powers and replicate them. So that's probably the deal. Here's his ass, in case you were curious about that. And seems Luthor is. And that's probably the deal, that he's Ultraman and he just absorbs. Because Ultraman, in some of the images of Ultraman, there's another shot of it. Yeah, here's I think this is like art for the action figure or something. But notice the colors. It's purple and a little bit of, I guess it's supposed to be silver, but a kind of white and stuff. That's typically the colors of Parasite's outfit in the comics. So I'm thinking that's the deal. That's Parasite behind the mask. Not Bizarro, unfortunately. It would have been cool to get a Bizarro in there. But I'm thinking that's the deal, that it's Parasite. He stole Superman's powers and uses them against him and that sort of thing. This one, more so than earlier, there was a teaser where Superman's flying around, I guess around the North Pole. And people were making a big deal about his eyes because one was squinting and the other one wasn't. I thought it was much ado about nothing. It's very brief. And this is brief too in the flight, but boy, this one, this just doesn't look right at all. Even as a drawing, you wouldn't really do this for the proportions. It's very, very cartoony. I think this was a mistake. But they did it. And again, it's very quick. So, but we live in this day and age. So, you're not crazy about that. So, but that's what they did. And there's another scene, I don't have it, where he punches a guy in the face and his teeth knock out. And that one too looks a bit off here and there. But the thing of it is, it's not just, well, the CGI wasn't up to snuff or whatever, but it's the teeth bounce off the lens of the camera. Now, unless that's a scene where like maybe Jimmy Olsen is filming it and it hits his camera, if they do it like that, then it makes sense. But if you're just doing that to break the fourth wall, where we're seeing it bounce, that's a bad idea. But maybe it is. Maybe that's Jimmy Olsen's filming it, and he gets a shot of Superman hitting the guy. Now this is included because the this is actually from Peacemaker, but that's the pocket dimension that Peacemaker's father had in his house, where all his equipment was stored, and he searches through it and apparently goes to another universe through that door. But the connection that Luther has a similar pocket dimension. Had that. Pocket dimension appears to play a huge role in the movie, as it appears it's cutting through reality and everything. Here's Superman battling this dude again. That may or may not be Parasite, may or may not be Bizarro, and may or may not be the Hammer of Baravia or something like that, because that could be his busted up helmet, or he just has a big afro or long hair or whatever. But if he is the Hammer of Baravia, Superman's like, I can get a hammer too. See? And he's about to swat him in the face with it. I don't know, but I mean, I guess if it was long hair, because it looks like the Parasite doesn't have hair, so maybe it is just that helmet with the face smashed off, Anywho, that's the deal. Superman grabbed a makeshift hammer to fight the hammer. But here you see, like, it looks like the pocket dimension is just making this huge gouge right through Metropolis. So that's a problem. And Superman's going to have to deal with it. Yeah. And, well, he's just beat, oh, God, I'm so tired. But he's about to fall off into the multiverse or something. And you see this makeup around the eyes. Well, it looks like he's been using his heat vision so much that it's, given a suntan around the eyes, Of course, it could also be he was in a heat vision battle with Ultraman, and then they blasted each other's eyes out, with it. So here he is. He's really, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, oh, shit, there's nothing there. Nothing. Oh, God. He's having a bad moment. And I guess his wrist hurts. I don't know. Here, more of the other dimension and whatever the hell that all is. A lot of cubes, though. So maybe it is Bizarro from Bizarro World. Not sure. This might be another creature or whatever. All these tentacles and stuff seems to be coming from, I'm guessing, Metamorpho. And then there's this mysterious green baby. Could that be a Martian? Like Martian Manhunter? But I doubt it. I think he's just another one of these creatures, alien people that are locked up in Luther's prison. And it all collapses with the pocket dimension, So here's the toy. They're calling him Baby Joey. So, you don't want to miss out, so collect them all to show you're a true fan of Superman. There's a little more close-up on it. The baby seems very upset about all this, and I don't blame him. So there's Superman flying over what appears to be the Maxwell Lord building, and that's that symbol that the Justice Gang members have with Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. And that's it. That's my thumbnail about Kevin Smith saying the movie is political. I hope not, but that's what he said. So there you go. The Superman trailer, or as I should say it, Superman. Hopefully, it'll be good. I don't know. A lot of troubling signs about it. But again, all we can do is hope. I know what you're saying. It's not a strategy, Doug. I know. But I don't really strategize anything. They're the ones that are supposed to strategize. I'm just going to watch it. Yeah. Anywho, already guaranteed probably to be better than Fantastic Four. It's just a guess, but it probably will be better than that. DJ Play Nice. That was a most excellent. Whee! Well, thank you, DJ Play Nice. DJ Play Nice. Up the live. Up the live. Well, I suppose that's better than down the line. A. Thompson, Doug needs a few 24-hour streams. Yeah, not going to happen. You think I got that kind of time? Well, I'll give you a clue. I don't. It's sad, you know. Wouldn't it be nice to just do this sort of thing all the time and just play? Ah, boy, that would be fun. Oh, well. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. That's all the news and Nailsin ratings. Should probably combine them more often because that's kind of like a news program, you know. I need to do the weather and stuff. I need to get some blonde chick with a huge rack. She needs to do the weather for me. And we'll go to the weather. And I don't know. All she has to do is giggle around in front of a weather map. That's fine. And then there we go. I wonder if Zenhauer's would do sports. Yeah. And then entertainment news would be Nailsin ratings, you know. Well, in Hollywood, there's a Superman movie. There you go. That's the whole package deal. Anywho, thanks for watching. Thanks for the super tip. All that good stuff. And we'll do this again sometime next week. Oh, well, I don't know if I'll get to do one in the morning Monday. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But the plan is to do Sunday Comics Sunday. So that'll be Sunday morning. I got to go look something up. I don't know what to do on it. But I'll find something. And you can join me then. Yeah, that'll be fun. And if you're a subscriber at compoundcensored.tv, you can check out the live streams that I did with Pat over at New York City Crime Report tab on that platform. And that's the extra stuff of me. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, I think that's it. I will be putting out a clipped, Nailsin ratings video from the last one of these I did from last week. And that'll be the last one talking about Dave Filoni taking over Star Wars and all that stuff. And then these. I'll do the same thing with these, clipping those out. Won't that be nice? I think so. Oh, crap. It's going to take forever to download this one. That's the one thing about EV Mux. It downloads the tape you have very quickly. Not so much with Rumble Studio. Crap. Well, I'll figure it out. DJ Play Nice. Thanks, Doug. You rock. Have an awesome day. Why, thank you, DJ Play Nice. DJ Play Nice at all y'all be safe, have fun, take care of your crew, and rock. All right, there you have it. Now you have to, because you've heard the request and something like that. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, theme song for this live stream. Because that's important, I have to have it this way. Oh, there it goes. It loosened up now. And no, that's not the one I want. Is this it? Yeah, that's the one. Since I started with Nailsin News, I'll end with the Nailsin Ratings ending theme song. The one I do for Nailsin Ratings live streams. I'm sure that clears it all up, and you're all set. Anyway, have a good rest of your night or day or what have you, and we'll meet again soon.
Hollywood good, to Billy wish they would. There's no debating. All that's left is the Nailsin rating. The first feast from the corpse of the beast. Only after the feel of the vulture.